You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi, folks, and welcome back to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure, as always, to be your host, and I'm delighted to welcome my special guest in this week's episode. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of Ashfield, Michael Oliver.
Hi, thanks for having me, mate. It's good to be here.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. I'm looking forward to this, and we'd arranged to do this pod, obviously, last week to record it in the Monday night, so I think we were looking at it anytime. I know it's difficult. Anytime we arrange a podcast, there's very, very few times where the manager hasn't went and get beat before he comes on the show. And I think that's a kind of bad omen. But in terms of obviously where you're at in the table, like we've spoke a lot about it in this show. The first division in the west of Scotland is up there with the craziest league in world football. I mean, just look at it. I mean, we could go through it. I mean, it's remarkably tight, remarkably open. But I remember at the start of the season, we did our season prediction show, and I remember we were talking about each league, we were talking about a team that could go under the radar. And a lot of us said Ashfield, and I think it was kind of looking at how well he's had done last year and how many goals he's had scored and how open the league can be. Sitting with 17 games at the beginning of March and 32 points in sixth place. If I gave you that at the start of the season, what would you have said?
The bite your hand off for it. Obviously coming up for the league below, so we knew how tough the division was going to be. And some of the clubs, some of the size of some of the clubs and the budgets that some of the clubs have got. So we knew it was going to be difficult, and we had we were going to be fighting against these types of teams that have got far greater resources than what we have. So if you'd offered me that, in June, July time, I would have took it. No doubt about
that. And last season, obviously, like we spoke a lot about the show last year when Bobby Barr came in. We said that's the kind of difference maker for Ashfield, an experienced player like that. And he's obviously been very good this season as well. Johnny Black was doing well last season in terms of goals, and he's there. Sean Slavin's a player that's really caught my eye. He's really kind of turned it up this season as well. How impressed have you been with the way the team have handled kind of making the step up?
They've been great. With guys like Bobby Barr, obviously, Bobby's played at a right good level. So there's never any concerns with Bobby when he's on form. There's no many better players in the league. Even if I don't know if there is, to be honest, when he's playing the way that he can. So he's been massive for us, and last year he was exceptional, and he's been able to carry that on again this year and find probably another level again. Johnny, like you mentioned there, Johnny. I've worked with Johnny now for about 4 or 5 years. I played with him as well at Cumbernauld Colts, and he came with me for hairstyling. So it's great seeing Johnny do so well and continue to do so well. But I always said that about him. Johnny's the type of boy that's got levels to his game. It's almost like depends who he's playing against, how well he needs to then play, and no matter how difficult the opposition is, he then just raises his levels. Like, he was excellent against East Kilbride on Saturday. Like, he wouldn't have looked at a place in their team, he was different class. So, but like Big Sean, like you say, Sean, I've known Sean because I used to work at Hamilton. I used to coach at Hamilton, taking the youth teams there, and Sean was obviously a bit younger for the age group that I was working with. When I was there, he might have been only 11 or 12. That's how long ago it was, but you still know him, and at that point he was still a big, tall centre forward who you could see had potential, and he's then kind of carried that on, and we were fortunate to get him. But he's got pedigree about him. You know what I mean? He's been at Hamilton. He's been in and around the first team. He scored He scored goals in the youth, the Champions League youth level, that competition. He's played with teams like Cowdenbeath in the Lone League and had spells at Little Lithgow Rose and places like this. So the big man's got pedigree, and we knew that if we could get him, that he would make a difference, and he certainly did that. So they three of last year, it was Bobby and Johnny. I think Bobby scored 26 and Johnny scored 25, so he beat him by 1 goal. And this year, Big Slaven's now chipped in with the goals as well. So it's probably then made, it's gave Johnny a slightly different role now within the team. And Sean's became more of the kind of focal point as a number 9. So, but yeah, the three of them, from an attacking point of view, are really big players for us.
And the one thing, obviously, we touched on the league and just how competitive it is, but you have obviously won 10 games. The one thing is obviously the 52 goals for 17 games. We've spoke about that, but there's been a lot of games recently that I kind of want to touch on, like the 4-3 against Petershill at home, the 5-2 at home to Kilbirnie, going to St Rochs and winning 3-0, and then 6-3 against Nielsen. So there is a kind of a big kind of shift in results in terms of you are scoring a lot of goals, conceding some as well. I mean, you'll probably want to get the numbers down for a goals conceded point of view, but in terms of kind of overall results, I mean, just looking at the results now, there's only one game in the past, I think 15 that I'm looking at just now that he's haven't scored in, and it was a game against St Rochs 2 weeks ago. So we know that you can score goals. That's the one thing you need in this league.
The St Rochs game last week's actually, believe it or not, it's the first game since we've been at Ashfield that we've failed to score. We've scored in last year. I was told we were the only club. We're the only club in the west of Scotland to score in every single game that they played in across all the whatever it was 4 or 5 competitions, and we had carried that on up until last week, which was disappointing. So that was actually the first. They're the first team to stop us from scoring since we've been here. So that was obviously. It was disappointing to lose that record, but listen, they were good last week. They made it really difficult for us. They had a good game plan and were set up very well and nullified our threats for what we've been doing since we went on that run. So fair play to them for that. And I think now you can see, I've always said that about St Rochs. I know Ian fairly well, as for when he was at West Park as well, and. We'd played a few games against each other at amateur level, and then obviously we played a friendly and stuff last year when he was at West Park. So I've always known these teams pretty well, and he's always got them well set up. So I'm not surprised to now, see them start to put some results together. As in, I think that's them won the last 3, and in our league, if you win 3 or 4 on the spin, you then find yourself in a far better place in the league. So. They're obviously starting to do that, and that's what we managed to do there for September through until last week when I think Drumchapel beat us. I think it was September the 18th, something like that. And after that game, we made a lot of changes to what we were doing and how we were approaching things, and thankfully we were able to go on a run. We were unbeaten between then and last week. So when you can put wins together, the league table naturally starts to look a wee bit better for you. But we've had some good results, like you were saying there. We've done the double over Petershill, which again is a massive thing for us. At Ashfield, Petershill has traditionally been a wee bit of a kind of derby game as well. It's a fairly local derby, and last year there was 2 divisions between the clubs. They were in the Premier, we were in the second division. So to come up and be able to beat them twice, obviously they're sitting top of the league now, and they're continuing to win games. And for as long as they do that, then somebody's going to need to eventually, catch them. And if they keep putting points on the board, then, they're still going to be, right there when it comes to the league, the league winners' medals and promotion places and stuff. But that's been a big thing for us, being able to beat them twice. I think it says a lot about the players that we've got, and just got a really good group who have been able to turn in performances against some of the bigger clubs in our league. We were very unlucky not to beat Johnstonborough as well earlier in the season. We were 3-1 up against them with 5 minutes to go, and drew the game 3 each. That's and I was really gutted that day. But the boys were excellent against a very good Johnstonborough team on the day. So we've had a lot of good results. We also beat Largs as well in the South Challenge Cup down there, you know, another team that are in the league above us, and then even Saturday there against East Kilbride, you know, we performed well, put on a good you know, a good enough show, and ran them close. So the boys have been brilliant, and you know, we just need to keep plugging away and see where we end up come the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. But with the cup action over the weekend for yourselves, obviously a really good showing against a really strong East Kilbride side. Obviously lost the game 3-2, but you'll take positives for that. And I know I was speaking to a couple of guys at East Kilbride today. They were very impressed by Ashfield.
Yeah. I thought we knew how tough that game was going to be. When we got to the last 8 of that competition, you know, there's teams there that we would have, you know, not necessarily, you know, not being overconfident or anything like that, but there was teams there that if we'd have got, you know, we would have fancied our chances. You know, like Troon, for example, we beat Troon last year in the West, so it wouldn't have been a tie that we would have been fearing Rob Roy again. Just teams like that, it could have been a lot easier for us. Put it that way. We got the worst, we got the worst possible draw, and I know Mick well, and I know that he's not going to, you know, he wins. He wins trophies. It's what he does as a manager. He's done it everywhere he's been for when he was at amateur level. So I knew there was certainly no chance he was going to, you know, take the game lightly. And I think they showed us that respect. They played, you know, the 11 that they put out was an excellent, you know, starting 11, and they made it really hard for us in the first I'd say the first 20, 25 minutes. It took us a wee while to get up to speed, but I'm not overly surprised at that, considering the golf and quality, you know, and the levels that we're probably used to playing at, to then jumping up to playing against a team that they're not just winning the Lowland League, they're running away with it. Like it's almost done. I think they're 10 clear or something like that. So, you know, we obviously then naturally have to set up differently as well, because we need to show them the respect that they deserve. So we're asking our players to do something completely differently from what they normally do. So I think it took them a while to find their feet, but the game could have got away from us in that early period, because they scored after 6 minutes, and at that point in time I thought, you know, we could be in for one here. It could have been 7 or 8, and credit to the boys, you know, they stuck in, they didn't let their heads go down, and you know, we get back in the game, and I think it was 2-1. I think East Kilbride went in 2-1 at half time. So from being 1-0 down after 6 minutes to then go in only 2-1 down, you know, we took a lot of belief for that, and I thought I actually did think second half, like, East Kilbride obviously had a lot of the ball and dominated large spells, which we expected, and we set up to kind of allow them to do that. We were just trying to have them time on the ball in certain areas, and then second half though, I felt at 2 weeks that we looked more likely at that point, and then we really kept them quite quiet in the second half in terms of chances, and then again, when you've got the type of quality that they've got, and they're bringing the players off the bench that they were bringing on as well, the big striker they bring on, you know, he comes on and gets the winner, but a quality shows at the edge of the box to spin his man and then put one in the bottom corner. So sometimes you just need to hold your hands up and accept that, you know, these teams have got that wee bit extra quality, but no, look, we were really, really pleased with the performance. I was proud of the players as well, because it could have been easy for them. That game we've got away from them, conceding after 6 minutes, and I think we were actually all coming off a wee bit disappointed in the end that they hadn't been able to, at least force extra time, and see where we could go. So good experience for us as coaches, and also really good experience for the players as well. And I mentioned obviously about Johnny Black being for my Hairstains team at amateur. Four of the starting 11 on Saturday have came with us for amateur football. And then if you add in Sean Grady to that as well, Sean Grady was playing with Arfley amateurs last year. So 5 out of the 11 from amateur football, still been able to go and compete with players that have played Championship, League One, you know, League Two. Their teams littered with individuals like that. So I'm really pleased, and we need to now try and take positives from that, and now try and kind of carry that back into the league now, and start going on another run, because it's a crucial time of the season now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get your thoughts, obviously, in the games to come towards the end of the show. Just on the South Challenge Cup, Rob Roy are the only West side that are going to be playing in the semi-finals. They beat Troon Trinent beat Kilwinning, 3 lost to Cumbernauld Colts. So overall, big congratulations to Rob Roy. They'll be carrying the West flag in the semi-finals of the South Cup. Into the Premier Division with a bit of a wild weekend in there, and we'll start in the Ayrshire Derby. It always gets the region of East Ayrshire quite excited, and this weekend was no different. Auchinleck 4, Cumnock 0. Auchinleck, probably about 3 months ago, we were talking about Auchinleck potentially in a relegation battle. Auchinleck could win this league. Like, they're not at it.
No, I was looking at the table earlier, and you seen that because I remember earlier in the season people were, talking maybe a bit more negatively about them, and that they weren't maybe the team that they had been, and whether they're going through a bit of a transition and things like that. But they've clearly went on a run, and that's what they do. That's what they've done for years. And I was looking at that. They're only 2 points, I think, behind Darvel, who obviously are right in the mix with, especially after the results of the weekend, which you'll obviously talk about. But no, Auchinleck, they're bang there now. That's you're probably looking at 4 teams there that will be really fancying themselves to be able to go and win that league now, and they're one of them. And you wouldn't put it past them, given what they've achieved in the past, over the past 10 years or so. So they're coming with a run right at the business end of the season.
And I'm looking at the kind of next few weeks, and there's the 23rd of March, they go to St Cadoc's, and then the 27th, they go to Darvel on the Wednesday night. They can pick up 6 points for that, and then go to Bede on the 30th. 9 points for those games, and that's probably outside of Clydebank. That's your 3 kind of main rivals. I think they've played Clydebank twice, if I'm right in saying. I think Clydebank obviously were the last team to beat Auchinleck, so I think that's a big statement. If there's any team in this league that can pull it out the bag like that, it's going to be Auchinleck. So I'm really excited to see if Auchinleck can keep it going. You mentioned Darvel, obviously, big result for them. Beat Clydebank 1-0. Craig Moore with a goal. And again, obviously, Clydebank, I'm not sure, like, 4 defeats in a row for Moff. I know he'll be looking at that going, we've got the points in the bag, and obviously they've still got the momentum, and that's fair enough. But when you've got kind of teams like that, like obviously Darvel have won, Auchinleck have won, St Cadoc's have won, losing your last 4, he'll be wanting to change that quickly, even though he's got the points on the board. When those teams are creeping up on you, though, when you're on that kind of downward shift, he'll be wanting to nip that in the bud quickly.
I know more fairly well, and he'll be disappointed with that we run the form that they've went on, especially at this stage of the season. But they're an excellent team. They've got a good staff there as well. I rate Moff pretty highly as a coach, and I know the guys Forbes and Gary that are there with him as well. These guys they're right into what they do. I mean, they I think they're. I know Forbes is going through his badges and stuff like that as well. So they're not just doing it. It's not just a hobby. They're doing it because they enjoy it and they want to be successful. So I'm not surprised to see him off eventually getting them up there. We played them earlier in the season in the pre-season friendly, a wee kind of mini tournament thing it went through, and you could even see then that they're littered with quality players. So he'll be looking to get herself back on a winning run, especially like I just said about Talbot, coming to this stage of the season. And at the end of the day, they're the ones there that are now at the top with the points on the board. So teams need to try, and teams that need to ultimately, if they need to win the games, the teams that are below them need to win the games to jump above them. So if they can go on a wee run of wins now and continue to kind of keep that gap the way it is, then you just never know. But I think just looking at the teams that are now kind of forming behind them, it's going to be a really interesting running with Bede and Darvel and obviously Talbot coming there as well. So
obviously big result for Darvel as well, obviously winning 1-0 at home to Clydebank. Dramatic game at Bede. Bede were 4-2 up against Gartcairn. Kieran Diver had scored a hat-trick, but Gartcairn got it back. Doubles for Scott Ferguson and Ian McShane. And Bede will look at the weekend, the way the weekend's gone, they'll be looking at that as a massive blow, dropping 2 points.
Aye, you'd be disappointed if for your position have been 4-2 up. But again, listen, Gartcairn are another team that are right now they're building an exceptional looking squad there as well. And obviously this season it's not going to happen this season for them, but they'll be again, I've dealt with Mick a few times, Mick Dunlop, since he's went there, and I'm sure that they'll be building towards next season. Some quality players there, like obviously the two you just mentioned there, Fergie and McShane for Darvel, and then I know they've got like Kieran McDonald and guys like that who they've signed recently. Guys that have been playing in the leagues, really, really recently. So they're building a good squad there. So albeit Beath will be disappointed. I mean, Garcairn are a good team that are capable of beating anybody and taking points off anybody on their day.
Yeah, absolutely. St Cadoc's, obviously, they kept their momentum going. They won 3-2 at home to Largs. A double for Neil McLaughlin, a goal for Lewis McTaggart. I just think with St Cadoc's as well, obviously, like, they're maybe not as battle hardened as even the likes of like Auchinleck, Darvel, and Beath, but they've got the squad there. They've got a really exciting young manager. And they're winning games. Those are hard games to win, obviously. Lags will be well organised, and especially a disappointment a couple of weeks ago, obviously losing 3-0 away to Arthurlie. It's a good bounce back to pick up a big result like that.
St Cannons are a good team. I watched them maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I watched them in the quarter final of the Scottish Cup against Johnstonborough. We didn't have a game that day, and obviously we took the opportunity to go and see Johnstonborough. And St Cadoc's in the first half were excellent. I think if I remember rightly, I think they raced into a 2-goal lead, and they were well on top, and you could only see the game going one way. But then to Johnstonborough's credit, on the day they come back and they end up going on and winning the game on penalties. But I was really, really impressed with St Cadoc's, especially in the first half hour of the game. You could see that they were well coached, and obviously Martin, a young manager. He's obviously a very good coach, and I know again the staff there as well, guys that have been involved with the SFA and things like that, and still are. So they obviously they know their stuff, and they were very impressive in that opening period against Johnstonborough, and played some really good football. So I think there's no doubt about them as well. Been wanting to watch it. Listen, they're in the mix just now. The only thing is they've obviously played a couple more games than some of the teams that are around about them, but they're there. But certainly for Martin's first season, he's doing well there, and he's clearly building something again similar to what maybe Garcairn are looking at it and thinking, well, look, if it doesn't happen for us this year, then next year we need to make sure that we're right there, and I'm sure he's confident that they can do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's move in. Glenafton won, Glenafton 0, Benburb 1. Jordan Bow with a goal. Benburb obviously have been really, really impressive. Big change, obviously, with Paul Lovren leaving and Martin Campbell taking over as manager. It's a big start as well to go to Glenafton, who, again, that's a really disappointing result for them, I would have thought. But it's all changed at Benburb, and it's kind of two really, really good guys in Paul Lovren and Ian Gray have obviously kind of moved on, but there's still that continuity there, and I think that will help them.
Aye, I was surprised at that. No, I don't think MD's seen the manager leaving. He's been there for a long time, and obviously I know they've got a lot of kind of links with family and stuff for that club. So I don't think MD's seen that coming. But that's a great start for the new management team. I think with that happening, Cadiz was probably looking at that from an Glenafton point of view and thinking this is a game, because they're in a fight. They're down in the relegation zone. They'd have been looking at probably trying to get 3 points for that one, but it just shows you that, like you say, that continuity is probably still there for Benburb. And one thing they do is they seem to get results. They know how to win games of football. They've got their own style of playing, and that's how they play. But it's very, very effective, and it's no easy to play against. So it's a big result for them, and I think Cadiz will be disappointed with that one, because Rob Roy were playing in the cup, and that would have been a chance for them to. I think they'd have jumped level in points with them. I think if they'd won on Saturday. But look, again, he's done okay since he's been in there. Cadiz, he's had a decent impact, and he's picked up some good results. And he was a manager that was in our league last year at Craigmark, and was always very complimentary to us, and always very nice about it. So I hope he can keep them up. I hope he can get enough points on the board to keep going after in that league, because like I said, he was always good to us. So we'll see how he goes.
No, absolutely. And Glenafton have got a massive game at the weekend. They go to Rob Roy, so that could be a 6-pointer for both sides. Two big wins for For Pollock, obviously 1-3-1 at home to Arthurlie and Hurlford 1-2-1 at home to Avon Meadow. Two sides that Pollock, obviously, we know what's been going on recently. Just getting a win in the board, getting a bit of kind of a feel good factor back. Hurlford have just been so solid again. These are two sides that have just been kind of fairly Morrison with a double for Hurlford, Dockery with a double for Pollock. Two sides that will just be kind of fairly content just where they're at the moment, I would say, in the circumstances.
I think it looks that way in terms of the seasons. We played Hurlford in pre-season and they gave us an absolute doing. And I thought, they were one to watch this year. In that Premier League, it's obviously not really worked out that way. But the both clubs with Pollock are the same. They're both littered with exceptional talent. I think that league, there's so many good players playing in that division. And I think they two clubs are. Listen, I don't know all that well, but when you look at for the outside looking in, you think that Pollock should be up there competing to win that league. But like you say, we know there's things going on in the background recently, and I don't know how much an effect that's having, obviously, on the first team squad and stuff like that. So you just never know. But certainly two clubs that are big clubs that I'm sure would be looking to be kind of further up the more up the top end of the league, which I'm sure they're looking to do next year. Again, they just trying to finish the season strongly and be ready to go and have a go at it next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into the first division. We'll start with the league leaders, Petershill. 6 points clear at the top. 1-3-1 at home to Maybold. Goal from Jack McElveen and a goal from Jay Mackay. Big result for Petershill, as I say. They've got the points in the board. They've obviously in their position. They played 25 games, get 45 points. Everybody below them needs to catch them, and they've got the momentum of getting the kind of games there. They've played. Looking at their kind of remaining fixtures, you would think they would probably be at the moment in the driving seat for promotion, just with getting those kind of points in the board and getting their games in early. Because I don't know how you feel about this, Michael, but it's a lot of games to make up, like 13, 14, 15 games between now and the end of the season. Would you rather be in Petershill's position where you've got the points there?
See, it's a difficult one because we're obviously we're one of the clubs that's chasing them. We've played 8 games less than Petershill.
Yeah,
that's a lot of games. It's a lot of points, but you need, like you just said, we need to win those games, and all the other teams below them need to win the games. I think there's an argument for both. Some people might prefer knowing what they have to do, and then other people might much prefer having the points on the board. I mean, put it this way, I certainly wouldn't be complaining if I was in Petershill position in it, because it's all the pressures on the teams below them to continue winning games, and listen, until they're caught, then they're there. That's it. They're top of the league just now, and you only need, you need to finish in the top 3 to get promoted. So the way I look at it, with the games still to come, and I'd be surprised if they dropped out of that top 3, just because they've got the points there, they've got the points on the board, and looking at it now, I think it's hard to see them dropping out. But look, there's teams below them that are good teams, and they're going to need to put wee runs together, and it might take for like 2 or 3 of them to do that. Obviously, we kind of fall into that bracket just now as a team that are in that chasing pack behind them, but it's difficult to put runs together in this league, as you know, because it's everybody beats everybody, and one thing they're doing is they keep winning. So every week, I always, you check the scores after it, and you're thinking, there's Petershill put another 3 points on the board, that's them another 3 points further ahead of you. And yeah, so fair play to them, because I think teams had written them off because they had played so many more games, and they're they're still doing great, and they're still winning games. So they're there to be caught. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Big result for Drumchapel, 3-1 at home to Johnson Borough, a double from Hopkirk and a goal from Oa. And that looking at the way the kind of league's going, a lot of people were interested in that game at the weekend, and Drumchapel will feel that's a big boost for them.
Aye. We obviously we had an interest in that game. We was playing Drumchapel tomorrow night, and again, 2 teams that are round about us. So from my point of view, I was hoping for a draw there. But I'm not surprised either to see Drumchapel win the game. again, just full of good players. You know, they're a team full of quality, all over the pitch. The boy Hopkirk that scored 2 goals. He's exceptional. For me, he's definitely one of the best players in our league. He was excellent against us in the first game, and he's a player that we'll need to keep quiet tomorrow night if we're to have any success. But no, that's a massive result for them, because Drumchapel went through a wee run there where they were, you know, they weren't winning. I think they draw against Renfrew. They then had the defeat against Petershill, and knowing Hopey the way that I do, obviously that he'd have been looking for a reaction to that. So I think they bounce back with they beat Witless away, which right now is not an easy game for anybody, and then they follow that up with a great 3 points against Johnstonborough. They'll be delighted, and like I said to you earlier, that the table all of a sudden just looks better for them after a few wins on the bounce, and then on the flip side of that is Johnstonborough, you know, will be feeling like they're falling further away, but they've still got the games in hand, and a team just littered with quality individuals. I said that earlier. I've always just expected them to eventually click and put a run together where they win 7, 8, 9 games in a row, and just end up pulling away. But up until now, it's not happened. So yeah, it's a big result for Hopey and Drumchapel, and they're going to be taking a lot of confidence going into the game against us now tomorrow night, which is going to be an exceptionally difficult one for us. But we'll look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Shorts 1-1 now at home to Whitlets, and Shorts in a similar position to yourself. Obviously, they're a point ahead, having played a game less. And Shorts, I tip Shorts to go down at the start of the season, and I don't mind kind of being proven wrong in that. But again, it just shows you the unpredictability of the league. Shorts have been so good, and you're looking at the kind of games they've got coming up as well. They obviously play Petershill on Saturday, home to Cambuslang, then home to yourselves, and they've got a lot of home games coming up. And they're a side that no many folk would have fancied at the start of the season, but they're just getting there.
Aye, until Shorts start losing games, then you know they're the team that right now, looking at the table, they've got everybody in their sights, because they've got the most games in hand. They've got the points on the board. You know, they're above us with a game in hand. So we played them in the second. I think it was the second game of the season. I think they beat us 3-2, but they're a very well organised team. You know, they are fairly direct, and they know how they want to play, but they make it really, really difficult for you. And I'm not. Look, I think I looked at it earlier, and they've only lost 3 games. And if you've only losing 3 games in this league is that's good going, because everybody beats everybody. You know, anybody can beat MD on their day in this league. So for them to show that kind of level of consistency to only lose 3 games is exactly why they are where they are. They might not score the most goals, but they're very good defensively, and like I said, they make it really difficult. You know, they're difficult to play against. So I'm not surprised to see them where they are, and they'll be hoping that they can carry this on, because if they do and they keep winning games, then they're going to be the team that, you know, that they're going to be guaranteed to get themselves promoted, unless there's a wee dip in form. So I'm not surprised. You know, very well organised and decent side.
Yeah, absolutely. St Roch's, obviously, we mentioned how good a run they've been on. They've won the last 3. 1-3 at home to Rutherglen. No many teams will beat Rutherglen 3-0 this season, and St Roch's are, from where they looked a few weeks ago, they're now beginning to climb up that table. It might be too late to even suggest promotion, but they could finish high up this table if they just keep this going.
Aye. No. Again, I've mentioned them earlier. Good team, good side, a lot of good players. I think, I like manager as well. He's doing a good job there, and maybe took a wee bit of time to find these, the right players. Or they've brought players in, they've let players go, but they seem to be now finding a bit of consistency. They've put 3 wins on the bounce together. I don't think in those 3 games they've conceded a goal, and all of a sudden the table looks a lot better for St Roch's. That we're glad, we're glad we obviously just played them the other week, but we went to James McGrory earlier on in the season, and I look at the fixtures and I know that Drumchapel still need to go there, Johnstonborough still need to go there, Petershill still need to go there. So we're happy about that, because it's such a hard place to go, and really difficult environment, difficult pitch, and make it really, really hard for you. So I would expect to see St Roch's carry on this form between now and the end of the season and continue to pick up wins and continue to climb the table.
Yeah, Thornwood are on our side. They're unbeaten in the last 5. They've just really picked up form as of late, and they're into 10th place in the table. They won 2-1 at home to Neilston. Cambuslang 2, Renfrew 2. So, again, Thornwood, we've got to kind of touch on them and just the real improvement in the past few weeks, because they looked in a position where they were really going to struggle, but they've got some players in. They've got some real good experience, and they're on our side, lights at Rocks. Keep this going, and they could just kind of move up.
Aye, there was a point where you thought they were maybe going to be in a relegation fight, and they've went on a right good run, and we've still to play them twice. And when we, when we looked at the fixtures maybe 6 weeks ago, and you seen that, you thought, well, it's maybe not a bad thing. But now these teams that are down there seem to be all putting wee runs together and becoming a lot more competitive. And I know I played with Gorms, and I know what he's like, and I know you're obviously bringing in the boy Ross Forbes, for example. That's his experience will be massive for them between now and the end of the season. So he's probably making a big difference. We watched their game the other week against Petershill, and they were very unlucky not to win that game. So that should have been another 3 points on that day. So yeah, no, Gorms has got them going now, which is good to see. And again, similar to St Roch's, like we've said, wouldn't they be surprised to see them continue to win games and continue to climb the table?
Second division, we'll start on Friday night. Glasgow Uni 0, fourth. Wanderers 1, Blair Hill with a goal. Massive win for fourth. It means that they are in 21 points for 18 games. They've obviously got games to make up on the likes of St Anthony's, Bonnet, and Glasgow Persian are all there as well. So that's a big one for them. In terms of the top of the table, Ardrossan 1-2-1 away to St Anne's. Dean and Ferris with the goals. Vela Clyde, they're up to second. 1-3-1 at home to Maryhill. Donaghy, Turner, and an own goal. Cumbernauld 4, Kilsyth Rangers 0, goals from Boyle, Brown, Cunningham, and Whitmore. In terms of kind of looking at that could get quite tight now. That kind of top of the table, you've got Alexa Vela Clyde in 46 points, Caledonian Locomotives 43, Cumbernauld in 42, and Kilsyth might just have the kind of games against it, but it could be very, very tight. You'd imagine a Drawson are up, but it's a pretty good 3-horse race for the other 2 places, by looks at it.
I mean, Ardrossan, by all accounts, they're a very good side. I think they beat Drumchapel earlier on in one of the cups as well, earlier in the season. You can see that. We played in that league last year, and again, it's a difficult league. So to be as far ahead as they are is telling you something. So you think that they're not going to get any worse finish outside the top 3. But then it's Vela Clyde. We played Vela Clyde last year in one of the cups, and they were good, really, really good competitive team. So I knew that. I thought they would do well. I fancied them to, make it back-to-back promotions. I think they will. I think they'll do enough to finish in the top 3, and then it's probably between, Cali Locals and Cumbernauld United. But Cumbernauld United have got the games in hand. So again, they'll be looking at it and thinking that it's in their hands. If they do, they do their job, then they'll find themselves in that top 3 and be promoted. And Cumbernauld are a big club at this level, and they probably shouldn't be in the second division. Or they're not a second division club. So I know, and again, George, the chairman there, I know how much he puts into it and how much it means to him. So he'll be delighted if they can bounce straight back up, which is very much in their hands at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Persia 1-3-0 at home to Bonnet, and a double from Kevin Fell and a goal from McGowan. Craig Mark 3-2 away to Wishaw. Banks, Riley, and Ryan with the goals, and Larkhall 1-1-0 away to Yoker. That leaves the table. Larkhall are sitting 8th place on 29 points for 19 games. Craig Mark a point behind them on 28 points. And Persia are up to 12th now. Big result for them at home to Bonnet. And third division was a bit crazy as well. Vale leaving. They extended the league at the top of the table. They won 1-0 away to Kilsyth Athletic. A tight result there. Again, you look at the kind of top of the table there. Vale leaving are another side that they've just been going about their business quietly, and you look at their results, and I'm just going to go through a few here in the past few weeks. 2-1 at home to Dalry, 2-0 at home to Bellshill, 1-0 away to Kilsyth, 2-1 away to Ardea. like 1-0 at home to Port Glasgow. They're getting tight victories, and when you're in the midst of a promotion challenge, they can make all the difference.
I know they're clearly going well. They've got a wee buffer there as well. I think it's 4 points or something like that, and they've also got a game in hand over. Is it Fanart in
Fanat,
second?
yeah.
So I think it's Villa leaving. Is it Ryan Hines? Ryan Hines went there, striker.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Villa leaving. I know Ryan really well. I tried to get him actually a few times, but at different clubs. But I see him scoring goals, and that's what he does. He's a good goal scorer. So I think, like we spoke about earlier, we got out of that league last year by, sorry, obviously we were the second division, but I think when you've got a proven goal scorer in your ranks, somebody that knows where the net is and can win you games out of nothing at times, then it's always going to help. So they look like they're going to be in that top three. They'll be hoping to go and win it. With the position that they are now, Bellsell, I think, have got games in hand to make up as well. So that's going to be an interesting one, because even if you look at Lanark as well, they're probably still thinking that they're well in the mix for the top three. So I think between Fanat, Bellsell, and Lanark, they're probably all fighting for the second and third place maybe, and Villa leaving might end up just edging the league and becoming champions. But that's going to be an interesting one as well.
yeah, absolutely. We'll just go through the results there. Greenock 4, Fanat 3. I think that's a big 3 points for Greenock, and it kind of gives them. They've still got a chance at going up here. There's no doubt that they could be a side to watch. And I look at Glasgow United and Threave as well. They've got a lot of games in hand, and I think that could be an interesting end to the season there. Bellshill 1-2-1 at home to Girvan, Cowie and Markey with the goals. I like the result for Lanark as well. 3-1 away to Port Glasgow, Brannan, Bullock and Mushy with the goals. And they're slowly getting there as well. They've took a bit of time. Arvin 1-2-0 away to West Park, Maxwell and Morrow. They've played 24 games. I think it might just be a kind of bridge too far for them in terms of promotion. But again, another really solid league campaign so far. And towards the kind of other end of the table, Kello drew 1-1 at home with Ardea. And I'm very interested to see if Kello can get guys back between now and the end of the season, they might not be out it. But that league as well, I mean, just like before we kind of move on to the fourth division, Glasgow United have obviously, we know they've got a real proven goal scorer who's been so important to them. Three have played 17 games, got 30 points. It's no the realms of possibility that could be quite tight as well. Like Glasgow United and Three could climb up there.
I know that I didn't even really realise that Threave had played, such less games than the teams above them. So they're well in the mix, and Glasgow United with Goodwill, that, I mean, the goals that he'll score at this level, you'll not get that anywhere else. So I definitely two clubs there that will be looking at looking above them and thinking, well, we're well in the mix here if they can win their games in hand. So it's probably back to that same old story we were talking about earlier. Would you rather have the points on the board or be one of the teams in the chasing pack? But I Threave also did fairly well as well in the cup, didn't they? Were they not? Was it
They
not
got to
Threave that
they
played
got to
against
quarters,
Carl
yeah,
Cox?
yeah.
I think they ran them pretty close. I think looking at the scoreline. So I know two teams that will be fancying their chances to make a kind of late push for the top three. Aye.
Yeah, absolutely. Fourth division with a managerial change as well. Barry McLaughlin left Giffnock. Again, people know I've got a lot of time for Barry, and I just wish him all the best. And I think the way that he went into Giffnock obviously and really get them improving, and I think he will be a guy again. You'll know him as well. He always he done well at Thorn, he done well at Giffnock. He'll find another club again and just do what he did. I'm just surprised, to be honest. I didn't see it coming.
Aye, we played Thorn last year in one of the cups, and Barry, very 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 nice guy, and obviously a really good football man as well, who played the game at a brilliant level. So I'm sure somebody that has experience and knowledge will only find himself out the game for long. I don't know the ins and outs, don't know why, or what the reasons are for him moving on, but I'm pretty sure he won't find himself out the game for too long.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Giffnock got a big result against the league leaders. They're only Glenville only tasted defeat for the second time this season. They lost 2-1 away to Giffnock. Boyle and McFall with the goals. And Thorn would have been looking at that going, We could have really seized an opportunity there and went top of the table. They were held 2-2 at home to New Mains. McClellan and Rogers scored for Thorn, and Seanville and Shields with the goals for New Mains. And you look at New Mains, just the where they've been at this season. They get to push Thorn to a draw is probably a big result.
You're looking at the table. But obviously, as that'd have been one that Thorn would have been looking at and hoping to take maximum points, especially when they're in the in a title race just now. So no, that's a big result for Newman's, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just run through the other results. Lugar 1-3-1 away to St Peters. That takes Lugar up to 5th in the table, only 2 points behind Gafnock and Rossvale in 3rd and 4th. Eglinton, big result, 3-0 away to Royal Albert. Knightswood, only their 7th win of the season. Congratulations to them, 2-1 win over BFC Glasgow. And Killook 1-2-1 away to Campbelltown. Looking at that league, and again, obviously coming for amateurs and kind of the experience you've had with some of these teams as well, it's good to see some of those kind of teams that are really kind of making an effort to push up.
I like to see that. I mean, obviously Knightswood were the new team in the setup this year, and they've come in and they're obviously competing well enough, and they look like they're going to be, they're not going to be finishing down the bottom, the bottom three. They've done well for their first season, so it's always good seeing amateur clubs with a bit of ambition and wanting to progress. So I'm sure they won't be the last one as well.
No, absolutely. And again, obviously, we'll move into what's coming up this week. And there's a big game, obviously, on Tuesday night, Drumchapel versus Ashfield at the Donald Dewar Centre. A big game. I think there'll be quite a good crowd at this. I think it'll be quite exciting. How are you preparing for it? And then obviously in Saturday, home to Thornywood in the league as well. 2 tough games. How do you approach them?
It's a tough week for us. Obviously, with East Kilbride and just on Saturday there, and then these 2 games as well. So it's difficult. The preparation for the drum game is difficult because we aren't training between the East Kilbride game and the Drumchapel game, and at this level, your players only train twice a week, or this week we're playing one night, training another. So you can only really prepare for the next game. You can only take one game at a time. That's what we try and do. So last week our focus was on East Kilbride, and then as soon as the East Kilbride game finishes, that then switches to Drumchapel. They're a team we know well enough. The only concern for me is how our boys recover, physically from Saturday to Tuesday. And I know they're the same. They had a tough game against Johnstonborough, but the effort that our boys had to put in there on Saturday was a huge effort. So that's probably the only concern for us is how they're going to actually feel physically. But it's a really tough game for us. Drumchapel are going well again. They seem to be picking up a wee bit of form, and like I said to you earlier, they're a team full of quality. And I know Hope really well, and I know how desperate he is to get them out of this league and get them into the Premier League. So it's as big a game for them as it is for us, I would say. And it's one that we'll look forward to. We go there and try and be who we normally are, and see where it takes us. And then obviously Saturday playing against an informed Thornywood team, which won't be easy. Like we had them watched the other weekend against Petershill, and they were very good, and in my opinion should have won the game. So that it's a tough week for us, especially after the St Ox defeat last week, and then the East Kilbride result on Saturday. We're coming off the back of 2 defeats, so it's not something that's happened to us a lot. We've tended to, when we've had defeats, we tend to bounce back quite quickly. So I'm hoping that that's the case here, and we don't start going on a run of games where we're struggling to win. We need to try and bounce back quickly and build the momentum again that we had there since September.
Well, we're wishing you all the best for the season, the rest of the season, and the games this week. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on, mate. Thank you very much for joining me.
No bother, mate. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, everyone who's tuned in, folks. We'll be back next week with a new West of Scotland show. And until then, thank you. We'll see you soon.